Black Ops 7 is ruined. All of the hype and excitement I had for it is now gone because of these new leaks. I'm just kidding, not entirely, but there are a lot of new leaks that aren't very good and in my opinion do take away from my excitement a little bit, but it doesn't ruin my excitement because there's also a lot of good leaks that we saw today for Black Ops 7. I'm going to go through all of them. We're going to start off with the good stuff and then we'll get into the bad stuff towards the end of the video. I'll just give my overall thoughts on these leaks. Of course, as always, these are just leaks, which means they are subject to change. Just because they're leaked information does not mean it's going to 100% happen in this game, but it's worth talking about nonetheless. All these leaks are coming from the Ghost of Hope. Starting off with the positives, the first big one is of course the fact that the game will not have Tac Sprint. Now, this was mentioned a couple days ago, which I did already do a video talking about it, and I was very happy about it, but the Ghost of Hope did come out and say that he is pretty certain that Tac Sprint will actually not be in the game. They have basically come to the decision of not including it, which is definitely good news. I'm not a fan of Tac Sprint. Tac Sprint is that double sprint feature that they've had ever since Modern Warfare 2019. The only exception being Cold War didn't have it, but every other game since then has had it. And a lot of fans have been wanting them to remove it ever since then because they're just not a fan of how it works. I'm personally not a fan of how it works. I think it really messes with your controller. I've gone through so many controllers because of it. It's also not a good mechanic because it adds too much variability to gunfights. Like if you come across someone while you're Tac Sprinting, your ADS and sprint-to-fire speed is going to be so much slower, which is obviously not a good thing. So it really just adds these weird variables that make gunfights a lot less predictable, which I don't think is a good thing for Call of Duty multiplayer. It's also just way smoother without Tac Sprint. Like it always just feels a lot better. Then the Ghost of Hope also came out and said that there is no doors on the 6v6 maps in Black Ops 7. This is incredible news and was honestly not something I was expecting because doors have also been something that have been in almost every single Call of Duty multiplayer since Modern Warfare 2019, and it's been something that I've absolutely hated about the multiplayers since then. I just think doors mess with the flow of maps, they're kind of unnecessary, and it seems like these maps are not going to have them, which is amazing. He did say the maps will have those automated doors, at least some maps will. Black Ops 4 had a few maps like that where if you go up to the door, it'll then open automatically. I don't have a problem with those doors whatsoever though, especially if they're not like all over the maps. If there's just a few maps that have it, that's perfectly fine. I had no issue with that in Black Ops 4. The next leak is that the maps are more colorful than Black Ops 6, much closer to something like Cold War, which I didn't entirely get this tweet because I don't think that Cold War's maps were that colorful either. Like there were some that were pretty colorful. Obviously something like Miami was very colorful. There's a couple maps like that, but there's also maps that are just really gray in that game. So I didn't really feel like Black Ops Cold War was the best example of colorful maps. I think Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, those are great examples of colorful maps, which I do hope they go back to that. I really want to see some very colorful maps in this game. I think it's just nicer to look at. I like when there's very unique color palettes per map. Having a bunch of maps that are just gray and brown is just kind of gross after a while. This next one, it came at a huge surprise to me, and honestly I think a lot of people are misunderstanding it, but this is the fact that apparently specialist abilities will return in Black Ops 7. So for those of you who don't know what specialists are, they were in Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, and Infinite Warfare, and they were essentially these characters that you played as that had specific abilities and weapons that were tied to those characters, and you earn them the same way that you earn field upgrades in the games nowadays, where you just kind of have to play the match and eventually you'll get it. Getting kills makes you earn it faster though, and a lot of people did not like these because the specialist weapons were basically free kills. You can just get so many free kills without even trying. You just play the game and eventually you're going to get your specialist weapon and then you'll get some free kills out of it. And yeah, it's not a great system. I liked specialists though because of the specialist abilities and the overall idea of having different abilities per character. That element I really liked, and I honestly always wanted them to bring back that system, just significantly change how it works, make it so the specialist weapons are turned into score streaks instead of being earned for free like you could in those games. But the Ghost of Hope is not saying that specialist characters are returning. He's simply just saying specialist abilities. That doesn't mean anything beyond just being special abilities that you can put in your class. I don't think this is going to be something that's tied to specific operators, or I don't think it's going to be, you know, free kill weapons or anything like that. It's probably just going to be specialist abilities that are part of your created class. You'll be able to apply them the same way you apply your field upgrades. It's probably going to work the exact same way. He mentions a few examples of them, like apparently active camo and the grappling hook are going to be in there, which is pretty cool. I mean, we've seen both of those before, obviously, but seeing those as specialist abilities in this game that you can apply to your class will be pretty awesome. Like I said, I don't think this is going to be a specialist character thing. I'd be very surprised if it was, given how operators and stuff work nowadays, but regardless, I think people are definitely overblowing this. I see people who really didn't like specialists back in the day getting really pissed off. I promise I do not think this is actually going to be like specialists from Black Ops 3 or 4. He also mentions that weekly challenges and events like Modern Warfare 3 2023 are planned to return for Black Ops 7. This is huge because that was one of the best things about Modern Warfare 3 2023. There were so many rewards that you can earn through the weekly events and challenges. And I've been saying for a while now that Black Ops 6 kind of dropped the ball on this. There really hasn't been that many rewards. Just for reference, Black Ops 6 has had maybe 2 event camos so far throughout its entire life cycle, whereas Modern Warfare 3 2023 had over like 40 something camos as event rewards throughout its life cycle. It had even more beyond that because there was other challenges you can do for special camos. They had a lot going on. There are a lot of free things you can earn, and unfortunately Black Ops 6 just really didn't keep up with that, and a lot of their events just, in my opinion, were not very good. The last positive leak we got today is something that I think is sort of positive but also sort of negative at the same time, which is why I saved it as the last positive leak that we're going to talk about. And this is the fact that in Black Ops 7 there is only going to be 3 Black Ops 2 maps at launch. And this really depends on who you are. There are some people out there that are pissed about this. They wanted way more Black Ops 2 maps remastered for the launch of this game because that was the original leak. The original leak is that this game was going to have a bunch of Black Ops 2 remasters. Actually, originally it was all going to be just Black Ops 2 remasters, but then eventually they said, oh, it's going to be a mix of the two, and then now it seems like it's only going to be 3 Black Ops 2 maps at launch. But of course, they will definitely be adding a lot of Black Ops 2 maps throughout the DLC season as well, which the Ghost of Hope did just tweet out that they did actually remaster the other Black Ops 2 maps. They are ready to go. So it sounds like the post-launch content of Black Ops 7 is going to have a lot of Black Ops 2 remasters too. He even says that apparently they're going to try to make the content output as close to what Modern Warfare 3 had as possible, which that content output for DLC was very, very good. So this is definitely good news. But the reason I think only having 3 Black Ops 2 maps at launch is a good thing is because I don't want a Modern Warfare 3 2023 launch situation where we have no new maps at launch or very little new maps at launch. I think that would suck. I want new maps. It's a new Call of Duty. I do not want to see the same maps I've been playing a bunch of times over the past 15 years, or I guess even 20 years. I mean, Call of Duty's been around for quite a while, and to not have any new content to play or not a lot of new content to play at launch. So I do think this is a good thing. But the bad part about it is the maps that they chose for the launch. Now, apparently it's going to be Raid, Express, and Hijacked as the 3 Black Ops 2 remastered maps at launch. I love Raid. I'm glad that is there. I know a lot of people probably don't want to see that remastered again because it's been remastered so many times now, but it's one of the best maps of all time. I don't really care. I love it. I want to see it back. But Express and Hijacked, I think, are good maps, but not good enough to warrant coming back as a launch map in this game. I mean, maybe if they were going to throw it in later in the DLC, that'd be fine, but we just saw these in Cold War. I feel like they should have saved the launch maps for maps we haven't seen in a while, or maybe haven't seen at all since Black Ops 2. I would have loved Yemen and Plaza, for example. I think those 2 maps would have made a lot of sense as launch maps. And then Raid is fine because that map is just so good that I don't care if I've seen it a million times already. Like, it doesn't matter. I could see this map a million times more and I'll be fine with it because it's a Raid. It's the same way I feel about Nuketown. I have no problem with Nuketown being in every Black Ops game because it's just that damn good. But as long as this game has at least 12 new original maps, and hopefully those maps are actually good, then I think we're fine. I think a lot of people in the community is just not expecting the maps to be good because people are so negative about the map design nowadays. They think like all maps suck and Treyarch just can't make good maps anymore. And look, don't get me wrong, I have an issue with a lot of the Black Ops 6 maps. I don't think it's nearly the best work Treyarch has done. I think it's actually probably the worst map pool that Treyarch has ever had for a Call of Duty game. But at the same time, they have good maps in this game. There's surely some good maps in Black Ops 6, and I think they could improve upon their map design for Black Ops 7. I don't think that's impossible to do. There's also rumors that Sledgehammer has been working on this multiplayer at least a little bit, so maybe they made a couple of maps for it. Who knows? I don't think the maps are all going to be bad just because some people don't like a lot of the maps in Black Ops 6. I don't think that means this whole game is just going to be shit, and so people have been saying they should just remaster all the maps instead and just not give us any new maps. I think that's ridiculous. We deserve new maps. It's a new game. That would be really stupid not to. They just need to improve their map design. That's all they got to do. Now, unfortunately, we got to get to the negative leaks. These ones really do upset me, and I really hope something can change for the beta of this game, or at least for the launch of this game, because something needs to change here. These just really shouldn't be the case. But the first thing is the fact that apparently there is no pick 10 system in Black Ops 7. And obviously, a lot of people have been asking for pick 10 to return, or at least something similar to pick 10. So this is really upsetting that it might just not return to this game. And there was a leak years ago that pick 10 was going to return to this game. So either they just changed their minds, or that was never true true to begin with? I don't really know, but it is quite upsetting that this is not coming back because, like I said, it's been a thing that people have been wanting for a while. For those of you who don't know what Pick 10 is, this is a system that was introduced in Black Ops 2 and was brought back in quite a few COD titles afterwards, but we haven't seen it since Black Ops 4, and it essentially was the same as the classic create a class system, but it allowed you to customize and mix and match things in pretty much any way you want. You could still have your class be the default way where you have 1 primary, 1 secondary, 3 perks, like 1 to 2 attachments per gun, 2 pieces of equipment. Like you could still do that default class style. But if you wanted more attachments, you can do that. You just have to trade off with something else. So you have to get rid of some of your perks or maybe get rid of your equipment. Or if you want more perks, you can do that. But again, you'd have to get rid of something else in your class to make room for it. As long as you go up to 10 points in total in the class, then you're good to go. And you can do it in any way you want. That's why it was such a brilliant system. There was so much customization behind it. And there's this really weird misunderstanding of the system where people look at it and they go, oh, I don't want to trade off items. And it's like, well, you don't have to. You could still do the class in the default way that the class system had before that. It does not matter. It's just the trade-offs are there as a balance because, yeah, obviously you shouldn't be able to have 6 perks without some sort of trade-off. There should be a trade-off, and that trade-off is, I gotta take away my equipment, I gotta take away some attachments, I gotta take away my secondary, or whatever it may be. It was a balance, and it resulted in so many good things. Not only was it very interesting to create classes with the Pick 10 system, but it also resulted in less equipment spam because more people were encouraged to not use equipment, which is good because I hate getting into lobbies when people are tossing frag grenades, tossing concussions, tossing everything all over the place. It's a nightmare, and the games with the Pick 10 systems had the least amount of equipment spam, which was so nice. But nowadays you play a map like Shipment or Nuketown, people are just throwing equipment everywhere, and it's a nightmare. It'd be so nice to have Pick 10 return just for the fact that you would see less equipment all over the place, but also because of the fact that you have so much more customization. There's so much more to do with your class. And I think what people really get stuck up on is the idea of it being Pick 10. They get so stuck up on that number 10. It does not have to be 10. I mean, they quite literally did that in Advanced Warfare. They did Pick 13. They expanded upon it. They added score streaks to it. So they could do literally whatever they want. They can do Pick 15. They could do Pick 20. They could expand upon it in any way they want to account for all the new systems they've introduced since we last saw Pick 10. That would include stuff like Gunsmith, the dedicated melee weapon, and field upgrades. They could account for those items by simply just expanding on what Gunsmith is. I've seen a lot of people say Pick 10 can't return because of Gunsmith, because of blueprints, so it just wouldn't make sense to bring it back. But like I said, they could just expand upon those systems. They don't have to get rid of Gunsmith to make the Pick 10 system work. It does not have to be exactly 10 items. I quickly just came up with this idea on my own in literally 10 minutes. It's an idea called Pick 100, and it essentially is exactly what I said before, where you have the exact same gunsmith system that Black Ops 6 has by default. So if you want your 5 attachments per weapon, 3 perks, dedicated melee, lethal and tactical, and field upgrade, by default, you can still do that. You can still have all of those. But if you want more attachments, if you want more perks, if you want extra equipment, you can do that. You just have to do trade-offs with other items in that class. And I did pick 100 because I thought it would be pretty interesting if each item costed a different amount of points, which I think does make sense, because the only criticism about Pick 10 that I think is actually valid is the fact that not all items are created equally. Like usually in Pick 10, they would have it so perks cost the exact same amount as a piece of lethal equipment. I don't think a grenade is the same as a perk. They shouldn't be on the same tier, so I don't think they should be worth the same amount of points. So doing a Pick 100 system like this allows them to actually make specific point values per item and make it so you have to just go up to 100 in your class. Or if you have less, that's fine as well. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to go up to 100, but that is the max you can go up to. So obviously you're going to want to take advantage of that. And obviously, like I said, I came up with these ideas really fast, so it's definitely not perfect, but the idea is there. The fact that Treyarch definitely could put something like this together for Black Ops 7, and I'm sure it could work just fine, and it would be so much better than what we have now. I'm really, really worried that this game's literally just going to have a copy and pasted Black Ops 6 class system. I think that would be really disappointing, especially for a game that's trying to pay homage to Black Ops 2. Wouldn't it make sense to pay full homage to it by going back to a Pick 10-like system? And I honestly am holding out hope that this could actually be the case, because all the Ghost of Hope says in his tweet is that there is no Pick 10 system in Black Ops 7. He does not say anything about there being no system similar to it. So it's very possible they could do something like this, where they do a Pick 100 system or a Pick 20 system or whatever it may be. They can definitely expand upon it like I've been saying, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But I really, really hope they actually do something like that. that. Now, as depressing as no pick 10 is, honestly, this next thing kind of bothers me even more, because at least I can sort of understand why maybe they don't want to try to do pick 10 because they think it might be too complicated to try to figure it out with Gunsmith. Like I said, I think they could do it. But this next thing, I don't understand whatsoever. I genuinely think it's just such a baffling decision, and it's really upsetting because the other day I was really happy about this, and now I'm not as happy about it. And this is the fact that streak looping is returning, like I said the other day, but it's returning as a perk. You have to put a perk on in order to get streak looping. Now look, at the end of the day, this is definitely better than nothing. This is definitely better than having no streak looping whatsoever, but the idea of bringing something back that so many fans have been asking for, but putting it as a perk is just, it's kind of frustrating. We've been seeing this happen so many times before, like going back to score streaks. They brought score streaks into Modern Warfare 2018 as a perk instead of being just a default thing, and then it took until Modern Warfare 2 2022 to bring score streaks back as a default thing. The whole minimap fiasco in Modern Warfare 2019 where they just did not have the classic minimap. They did not have red dots on the minimap when players fired their weapons, and then they brought it back as a perk in Vanguard, and then everyone was like, what's going on here? Why is it a perk? It should just be there by default. And then eventually in Modern Warfare 3 2023 they did bring it back as a default thing, and now it's happening with Tac Sprint. I mean, they had Tac Sprint in the game for so many years. A lot of people didn't like it. They finally brought in a perk that makes it so Tac Sprint goes away. That was in Modern Warfare 3 2023 and also in Black Ops 6, but then now in Black Ops 7 they're finally removing Tac Sprint for good, which, like I said, is what most people wanted. They wanted that by default, though. They did not want to have to use a perk for it. And then now with streak looping, they get rid of streak looping in Modern Warfare 2019 for really no reason, in my opinion. They bring it back in Modern Warfare 3 2023, which was nice. Black Ops 6 removes it again, unfortunately. And then we hear that they might be bringing it back in Black Ops 7, which really excited me, but it's only as a perk? Like, come on. Now, of course, again, this is all just leaked information. It's not confirmed. I'm going to hold like full judgment until the game is actually revealed and we get that full information for ourselves. But right now, I have the right to talk about it, and I think if it is going to happen, it is quite unfortunate. Streak looping is simply just the ability to loop through your streaks multiple times in the same life, which is something that we had from Black Ops 2 to Black Ops 4, where if you earned your highest streak, you would then restart on your streak journey at the very beginning, and then you can go through your streaks again, and you can just keep doing that as long as you stay alive, which is great. It rewards players for staying alive for a long period of time. Without streak looping, when I get my final streak, I feel like I gotta just let myself get killed because I want to earn those streaks again, and it's really unfortunate that the game is built like that. Obviously, there is a nuke in a lot of the recent games, so you could still go for that nuke streak, but the gap between my highest streak and the nuke is pretty significant, and I use the highest tier streaks most of the time, so even that gap is pretty significant. So it's not like I'm guaranteed to get a nuke streak just because I want to stay alive a little bit longer. And I think it's quite weird to bring this as a perk because I don't get the highest tier streak every single time I play. Maybe like 20% of my games I get my highest streak because, like I said, I run high streaks. I usually run the swarms and the gunships and whatever is like the highest tiered streak in that game. So the chances of me actually getting through all of my streaks, the majority of my matches, is very slim. It happens maybe like 20-25% of the time, but I really do want those 20-25% of the times be a time where I'm allowed to loop them, so it really feels extra rewarding. But the fact that I need to run a perk to do that is ridiculous. I'm going to waste a perk slot just to be able to do that for something that's not going to happen every single time I play. It's just such a silly concept. They've mentioned the reason why they don't want streak looping before, and I believe it was because they want to prevent streak spam, which I think is quite silly for a few reasons. First of all, I don't actually think streak looping causes more streak spam, because if you actually think about it for a second, the amount of kills it takes for someone to go all the way through their streaks once and then do it a second time in their next life is the exact same amount of kills as a person who is able to loop those streaks in the same life and go through them twice. It's no different. The only difference is that person, if the game didn't have streak looping, had to let themselves die in order to go on that streak again, which again I think is kind of a silly game design. It's not causing people to get their streaks more often, it's just simply allowing them to play the game normally and not force themselves to die in order to keep getting their streaks. Now, you can make the argument on certain small maps like Shipment, maybe somebody could really dial in on one specific spawn trap and they could just keep getting endless kills. And obviously with streak looping, that would allow them to keep getting their streaks again and again and again. And obviously if there was no streak looping, they would earn them a little bit slower because they would have to stop being in that spawn trap position in order to keep getting on the streaks, because like I said, they have to die first before they can go on them again. But again, I think that's so silly game design because it's causing someone to literally forcefully end their streak just to get their streaks going again. It's just ridiculous. And even if somebody really felt like streak spam was a big widespread issue on all maps, I don't see the problem. Streaks have so many counters towards them. There's perks, there's launchers, there's just simply killing the enemies before they can get their streaks. There's so many things you can do to prevent streaks from being called in or from staying around too long or just avoiding getting killed by them in general. There's so many things you can do. So I just don't understand why they feel the need to not only nerf the streaks, I feel like they're not nearly as powerful in the recent games as they were back in the day, but also make it so it's harder for people who just want to go on streaks to continue to go on those streaks if they're a good player. If someone's good enough to stay alive that long to loop through their streaks, they deserve that. Let them have their time to shine. Those moments are what make Call of Duty multiplayer what it is. And you already have skill-based matchmaking in the game to protect bad players from getting stepped on too much by players who are really good at getting streaks consistently. So again, I just don't see the issue with allowing people to loop through them. It really makes no sense. And also, equipment spam is by far way worse than streak spam has ever been, in my opinion. So I think if we're going to address any sort of spam, I think equipment spam needs to be addressed more than anything. And the last negative leak here isn't really something that I consider to be a negative because I haven't played it myself, so I can't really say if this is a negative or not. But the Ghost of Hope says the new ground war type mode in Black Ops 7 is trash, apparently. Heard the wingsuit is cool, though. That's what he says. I don't really know. He doesn't really specify what's trash about it, so I don't really know how he even knows it's trash. I don't really get it. But people also said that combined arms in Cold War was trash, and I personally loved combined arms, so I don't know. This could definitely turn out to be something that's a non-issue, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not really sure what that mode's going to turn out to be like. All in all, majority of these leaks are definitely good things. I'm definitely happy about majority of what we heard, but a few of those things like not having pick 10 and having streak looping as a perk is definitely just not good whatsoever. But I really hope there is enough time for Treyarch to still change their mind, or perhaps the leak isn't fully accurate and maybe there's more to it. Like I said before, maybe there is a pick 10 / gunsmith hybrid that just isn't called pick 10, and that's why Ghost of Hope says there is no pick 10 system. Like, it's very possible that could be happening. I'm very hopeful that maybe something like that will happen. So definitely still excited for Black Ops 7. Cannot wait for the full reveal on August 19th. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you on my next one. Peace out.